murdering his wife and her friend, finally faces heavy jail time. Now the attorney for one of the men also charged in the case, Walter Alexander, tells the National Enquirer that it was the disgraced former football star himself who told his longtime buddy Michael McClinton, who is also charged in the case, to arm himself that September night. Quoting from the magazine, where did I put the magazine? Simpson and Riccio discussed O.J. acquiring heat to be used to assure recovery of his memorabilia. Michael McClinton arrived at Simpson's room immediately following the conversation, at which time O.J. inquired of McClinton if he was sure he could get some heat. McClinton replied, among other statements, "I got plenty of guns." Joining me now in our studio, Dorothy Cascerceri, the entertainment editor of the National Enquirer, and in Vegas, Fox News legal analyst Bob Massey. Dorothy, welcome. So another scoop. So guns were not only used, but they were arranged by O.J., the Enquirer alleges.
You're exactly right, Geraldo. We have an exclusive statement from Walter Alexander's attorney, Robert Renser. You may recognize his name because he defended Rodney King in the beating trial. And in this statement, he allegedly, O.J. basically asked his friend, Michael McClinton, to please secure these guns for this heist in this hotel room at the Palace Station Hotel. And the interesting thing about it is that after McClinton told him, "I got plenty of guns," O.J. said, "Okay, we're going to meet at 3:30 p.m. at the Palms, and you're going to bring the gun, and then we're going to go do what we need to do." What ended up happening was it took McClinton a little bit longer than he thought to come back, and O.J. waited 3 hours at the bar. A source tells us that O.J. was very worried at the time. He was sweating profusely, he was drinking whiskey, and he was basically saying, by the time he gets back here with these guns, these guys are going to be gone, and so is all my stuff. McClinton finally showed up with the gun, and you know the rest of the story.
More than one gun. I think it was at least a couple of guns were used. Bob, the preliminary hearing is slated for November 8th and 9th. Do you think this will be part of the prosecution's case as they present this mini one-sided trial?
I think so, Geraldo. I learned yesterday again, and I think we're all surprised. I think that we thought it was going to go by indictment, but David Rogers, the DA, they met with Judge Bonaventure this week in court. They have set 2 days, November 8th and 9th, for all of the defendants. Nobody's severing themselves out, even at the prelim level. And what's going to happen is they're going to put on whatever evidence they need. As you know, they don't need a lot to bound it over. But the defense lawyers think that, obviously, for them it's good because they're going to get a chance to cross-examine. But it's going forward as of right now. It will be a public hearing in Las Vegas.
I wonder if it'll be on camera. Mark Aragos, does this in any way affect your opinion of this case as a loser for the state?
No, it doesn't. In fact, I think the fact that you had to immunize somebody to get the testimony is going to come back to bite them in the butt on this case.
Why? They immunized drug dealers. Sammy the Bull Gravano was immunized on, what, 19 homicides, and he managed to put John Gotti away.
I understand, but the fact is that when you have a case like this with the characters like this, I just don't think this is a strong prosecution case. I think, frankly, one of the reasons they're not going by way of an indictment is that the DA is very savvy. He wants to see how these guys are going to do under cross-examination. You don't want to try and vet the witnesses for the first time once you get to trial when you do it by way of an indictment. So it's actually kind of a savvy move by the DA to expose whether or not this case is going to stand up in trial.
You may disagree with this conclusion, but I agree with him that he's testing his case in the preliminary hearing.
Well, I don't think he's testing his case in the preliminary hearing. I think just the opposite, Mark. I think he is so confident of his case. You've got audio tapes. You've got co-defendants. You've got witnesses. You've got someone who now has a cell phone that indicates that O.J. is the one who got the goons together to bring the guns. It's all there. And what this DA is doing is the DA is saying, I want the public to know what's out there. I'm not going to go in the grand jury. I want it all out.
But Ryan, the one thing he doesn't have is a real victim.
Exactly. And you have no real victim. Everybody has a reason to turn on O.J. Why wouldn't Walter Alexander say, you know, this guy got guns and O.J. was a part of it?
I'm not worried about the credibility of the accusers. I'm worried about the credibility of the victim.
You don't need a victim. You don't need a victim in these cases. You don't go into a casino with loaded guns. You know what? Don't do that.
Janine, you've got to have somebody that's got some kind of sympathy going for him. Otherwise,
you know
how are you going to get up there and charge it up?
What is the Enquirer saying?
Well, you know, we report the facts, and we'll see what happens with the case. I'm not a legal expert. These are the legal experts right here. Those are the facts.
I I think the preliminary hearing should be on camera. I think that it would be deja vu.